Donk Nation, Jax and Janet's greetings and welcome to your Daily Dose of Donkey with Jinja. It's your boy, the Viking Donkey, coming to you with some bye-week Steelers talk. The Steelers coming off a big win against the G-Men. That puts us to 6-2 going into the bye. That's the record a lot of us said they needed to be if they wanted to be competitive this year, and that puts us at first place in the division. Laskers, Gingy, going into the bye, you guys have to be feeling good, right?
Woo!
Lasker's here.
We riding high. Come on, Laskers, tell me about it.
Oh, Lasker's here. We're definitely riding high. I didn't think we'd be at this point in the season, but hey, I'm happy. Let's keep it going.
That's what we would like to see. And Gingy, more of the same from the Steelers, kind of a boring first half where nothing happens and then a big splash play from somewhere comes and gets it going. But Gingy, we talked about the Steelers. We talked about how much money they spend on defense, how the offense is supposed to be better. Is the most important part of this team, the part we're overlooking, is the special teams the best unit on the Pittsburgh Steelers?
They seem to be making a big play at least once a week, eh, Donkey?
I haven't had to complain about chewing gum in a while, Gingy. So I'm super happy. I'll say that. I'm beyond surprised.
I love punt returns. That's an exciting play. That gets me excited every time. We don't see them very often in Pittsburgh land, but that's exciting play.
Laskers, speaking of that punt return, Jeremiah Moon didn't rough the punter?
Yeah, it's questionable, but hey, Ben Roethlisberger is saying the MVP is a special teams coach. That's what he's saying. We all better respect Ben Roethlisberger right now for who the team MVP is this year.
Right now, I have to agree with you. The special teams, this is what, the third or fourth major splash play they had with this punt return by Calvin Austin this week. That is just changing the games for us. This is another game. It's late in the third quarter. We're tied 9-9 with a lesser opponent. The defense, let's be honest, the defense did nothing in the first half other than hold the Giants to field goals, which most of the time was the Giants actually holding themselves to field goals by making dumb mistakes once they got to the red zone. But the Giants were moving the ball at will. Sure, they were settling for field goals. The offense wasn't doing anything but kicking field goals as Russell looked bad in the red zone. The special teams makes the play again, Gingy. The week before, there's blocked kicks. The week before that, there's blocked kicks. The unit that's putting this team together is the special teams, and then when the momentum gets going, you see the offense take off. Russ hit a deep ball because, dude, the Giants' secondary is terrible. Outside of the pass rush, I don't think there's a good thing on that Giants' defense. We talked about them ad nauseum before, but man, that secondary's weak. They're not good at tackling. The Steelers' defense, they can't keep not showing up for three quarters, but it's working now. They need this bye week, get a little more collective, get a little more tight on all the things that they're bad at, tackling, bad angles. Patrick Queen, I'm mainly looking at you on those two things. And they really need to just gel, and one of these units outside of special teams needs to take a step forward, but you can't complain about 6-2. You can't complain about another primetime victory. 22 straight home wins on Monday Night Football, Gingy.
They always seem to show up when the lights are the brightest in prime time, don't they, Donkey? You know what's remarkable?
Except for the Dallas game.
You know what's remarkable for me? So many long droughts of offense. What? No 400 yards from Pickett's. No 400, like one from Trubisky, maybe. I don't know. I don't think there's any from Trubisky.
No,
so Mason Rudolph had one, maybe. And then
Pickett had one the first game after Matt Canada got fired.
So what? One of 20? One of 15?
Fair to say.
I don't know how many starts he had, but to be honest, we're talking about 2 Russell Wilson games and 2 400-yard games, right? That's fairly remarkable the way that we were talking about production on offense from the Steelers before, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty excited to see. Am I seeing Najee Harris at mid-season form? Healthy Najee Harris running hard?
Okay, we had this happen last year, and I'm going to say the same thing I said when it happened last year. Najee Harris can run against bad teams. He's always been able to put up yards against bad teams, especially bad run defenses. We played 2 of them in a row. The real test for him is going to be the first 3 weeks out of the bye. If he continues it, I believe it full-heartedly. Otherwise, man, it's that same flash in the pan we got. Was it last year when we did it 2 straight games and we're going into Buffalo, right? And we're like, man, this is the team. It's going to be a snow game. We're going to dominate Buffalo because Najee got it going. And then he just laid a freaking egg again because, man, he ran against, who the heck was it? The Arizona Cardinals and the Las Vegas Raiders, I think is the 2. He put them back-to-back last year. It's great to see. He looks like he's running hard. This offensive line, which really I thought was going to be a huge weakness, which it still is in pass pro, has been really good running the ball, no doubt about it. They've actually been a good job protecting, too. I mean, Russ really didn't get hit much against the Giants, and when he did, it was his own darn fault. But, Gingy, there is one big cause for concern I saw on the offensive side, and I'm not talking the first half non-happening. That still concerns me. Don't get it wrong. Russ not being able to convert when he gets in the red zone is a concern. And when Najee's getting 6 yards of carry, not giving him the ball in the red zone is a bigger concern, but that's neither here nor there. It's Russ Wilson still thinks he's athletic, and I have a feeling, just like it almost did in the Giants game, that might be the thing that comes back to haunt the Steelers, is Russ trying to make a play that he no longer is capable of.
We'll talk about that when it happens. I'm not going to wish it into existence, Donkey. I see what you're saying.
It did happen. The Giants just didn't capitalize.
Yeah, okay, yes, you're right. Didn't get a no harm, no foul until it actually hurts, right? But at the same time, yeah, those times will come. Those times will come. I don't want to project them into existence. Let's wait and see, though, what we've got from this offensive line play, right? We did have some opportunities on offense that were taken off the board for a variety of reasons, okay? I saw some scores, non-scores. I really had an opportunity to really get Pickens going much earlier, I think, in my opinion. But, yeah, mistakes were made, Donkey. Broderick Jones.
I mean, blatant face mask by Broderick Jones. But, man, I love that draft pick, and I still think he has the potential to be a good player. I don't think the Steelers are the team that can ever develop him. I'll be fully honest here with that. Yeah, let's get into what is a catch in the NFL, and should they change the rule? Because I watched a catch on Thursday Night Football where the shin hits inbound simultaneously to the knee hitting out of bounds, but a shin counts as 2 feet inbounds. Okay? A left foot, though, doesn't count as inbounds because it has to be both feet. Explain to me how the hell a left shin is both feet, but 2 left feet aren't both feet, but somehow a knee, an elbow, a hand, a helmet, any other part of the body that hits inbounds counts, but it has to be not 2 feet, both feet. And I knew that rule, and when it happened in my house, my son's like, but he got 2 feet down. I'm like, yeah, but it has to be left foot, right foot, and he only got left foot down. They're going to call this a no catch. Why the hell is the NFL rule not simple like college football? You catch the ball, any part of your body's inbounds, it's a catch. Why the hell is it so complicated to where it's you get a foot down, it doesn't count, but if you get a knee, a hand, a finger counts as 2 feet, mind you, a finger, but not 2 left feet. Why the hell shouldn't the NFL just make the catch rule? Any part of your body's inbounds, you got the ball, it's a catch.
Gingy, let me take this one.
All right.
So, I actually 100% agree with Donkey's inquisical thing on this. It should be, if you get 2 feet down, it's a catch. It doesn't matter if it's the same 2 feet. You had 2 feet down. I don't understand it either. And
what I will ask, that I think
the only thing I can say
point
on that is when they lift up an inch and you really can't see that they did it. That's the only reason I can say, okay, I get where the NFL says it has to be a left foot, right foot thing, but there's no question that he was in. But according to the NFL, he wasn't. And by the way, Donkey, Kenny's highest yards was 327 in his second game against Baltimore.
Gingy's talking offensive yards, not passing yards, just so we're clear on what the conversation was before.
Total offense.
Yes, because Russell Wilson has not thrown for 400 yards as a Pittsburgh Steeler last year, so that's not what the conversation was.
I don't think he's thrown for, more than 270?
270
himself.
270 last week, since he's only played 2 games, and that was his biggest production. It's 270 last week.
All right, I'll have to look at that one. Total offense, so
Gingy,
that's going to take me a while.
Please make this make sense to me, how a finger is more than 2 feet, and where is, just the trueness in this rule? Because to me, if you're going to make a finger or a hand count as 2 feet or an elbow, then it should be any body part that's in. The other way I see it is it has to be left foot, right foot. No matter what else touches, it has to be left foot, right foot. They can't play this stupid middle ground that makes no sense, Gingy.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. No. I mean, what do I think about this rule? I'm trying to figure out what type of advantage it might give you in the field of play to be able to try to get two of 1 foot versus 2 feet.
The only thing is 2 of 1 foot. An inch off the ground.
Remember, Jason Kelsey pointed this out. If you just decide to hop your happy ass down the sideline with your right foot only, it doesn't matter if you get your right foot down 22 times. If that left foot doesn't touch, or a knee or an elbow or a shin doesn't touch, it's not a catch, even if it was the right foot 22 times. Let that stupid thing sink in for a minute.
I feel this is discriminatory against the potential of a one-legged football player someday.
I'm actually really happy that's the way it went. We should sue the NFL for that touchdown based on discrimination.
I'm pretty sure that's actually happening right now. I think I saw something. I do believe there is a lawsuit currently pending for that exact reason.
That is freaking awesome. I'm not even upset anymore. I'm just kind of happy about what transpired here in this conversation. But I'm going to be honest with you guys. This was the same game as the Jets game. Is that fair to say? The first half sucked. Something crazy happened, and the Steelers take over. I mean, it was a Beanie Bishop interception, or 2 of them, I guess, for the Jets game. It was a Calvin Austin III punt return, which, by the way, a long touchdown catch to him, too. Shout out to Calvin Austin for having a hell of a game. I really feel like I want to see the Steelers dominate a bad team the way they did the frickin' Raiders, right? And maybe we got one this year. But, man, these last 2 games against, let's be honest, bad football teams, it just felt like it felt like the old Steelers, if that makes sense, Gingy. Like the last 5 years of the Steelers. Wait for them to make a big mistake, and then we'll win the game.
I mean, that's how you beat bad football teams. Yeah, it's tougher to wait for that to happen versus good ones, so I don't think you can play that way versus the Ravens.
Yeah, that's what my problem is. These last 2 games, man, I thought we were going to put up a 3-peat of just dominating performances against the New York teams and the Raiders, and I know this was a good game. I know the outcome's what we wanted, but these last 2 weeks left me questioning more than I feel like I should be questioning a 6-2 team going into the bye. I feel like you guys probably did on that 11-0 team where you guys were questioning it, and I was trying to get you to drink the Kool-Aid, you know?
I hear you, Donkey, but no buts on this one for me, all right? 6-2 at the bye, sitting atop of the AFC North. I understand.
That's exactly what I said at 11-0.
Pretty.
That's exactly what I said.
I understand that it hasn't been pretty. I understand that. Yeah. I understand the comparison to the 11-0 team, right? However, we will see very shortly as to the Steelers' medal. That's the second half of the season is so brutal. We're gonna find out quickly what they're made of, right? I don't think there's going to be any hiding from that.
Let's exclude the Denver game because it was early and what's-his-face had no idea what the hell he was doing yet, right? Let's exclude the Chargers game because Justin Herbert was hurt. That's a completely different team. You could argue the 2 only close to 500 teams the Steelers played, the Colts and the Cowboys, kind of embarrassed the Steelers, but they did what they needed to do against the bad teams, right? You think about that. We just don't lay an egg in the Cowboys game. I don't think we beat the Colts, but we could be sitting 7-1 right now, having a even prettier talk because I'd be like, we don't lose to bad teams. Now's our chance to prove it, and that's what we're going to get to is our chance to prove it. But defensively, Gingy, I don't know if either of our two main corners can cover a good wide receiver. Like Joey Porter Jr. is arguably having the worst season of any number one corner in the NFL right now. Donta Jackson, yeah, he's made some interceptions, but that dude's getting toasted every week. Minkah Fitzpatrick has been a no-show. If it wasn't for Deshaun Elliott playing at all-pro level, this secondary would be on the ropes. But a shout-out to Beanie Bishop. I mean, he got torched the first 6 games, but the last 2 played good enough to earn himself NFC Defensive Player, or excuse me, AFC Defensive Player of the Month. Does Cam Sutton coming back unseat one of those 2 corners? Like, do you give Joey Porter Jr. maybe a mental break to see if he can get it going? Do you give Donta Jackson more time on the bench? Do you take out the playmaker of Beanie Bishop? My question to you is, we're going into the bye week here. Is there a way to fix this secondary before we get into the hell part of the schedule?
Oh boy, that's a fair question. We'll have to see what the man returning. Oh, why did it just Sutton? Cam Sutton. We'll have to see what that man brings to the table, right? Are we talking about prime Cam Sutton, mid-season form Cam Sutton? Or are we going to be talking about coming off of suspension? Somewhat, hopefully not too slow, maybe not at prime form Cam Sutton, right? I think that makes a difference.
Yeah, for sure. It is. Laskers.
I think it's a rotating cornerbacks. I think that's what we do.
I hear you on that.
And see who is the best cornerback out of the 4.
I hear you on that, but that's not even what I want to talk about. Dude, there's a play in this Giants game, which, by the way, the Giants can't run the football, but they have 18 carries for 150 yards against the Steelers. That's embarrassing. The play I want to talk about is Minkah Fitzpatrick starts a play 22 yards off the line of scrimmage, right? And this dude blows by him for like a 45-yard run. How in the hell does a guy start 22 yards off the line of scrimmage and get blown out on a running play?
Bad angles.
How do you have a guy that's making that much money who doesn't intercept the football be incapable of stopping the run, Gingy?
Who's that for? Right?
Minkah,
who wants to answer that?
Yeah, that's for you, Gingy.
Nobody wants to answer that. I can't answer that, donkey. That question's terrible.
I hear you, and we're gonna say. I know you're going to say, hey, we held the Giants under 20 points. Our defense did their job, right? But you have to remember, that's a Giants team that scored 10 combined points the previous 2 weeks. 10. That Giants team is terrible.
Yeah,
and
it is.
They didn't look terrible against us. I'm a little concerned here because outside of, by the way, our X Factors, TJ Watt and Alex Highsmith, outside of those dudes having an otherworldly game, which Alex Highsmith went against a guy who just got signed this week. So thank God he showed up, Former Steeler, by the way, who he went up against and absolutely torched, making a long career of it over there. This team needs to figure out something on defense that's not just TJ Watt, Alex Highsmith, Nick Herbig. What is that thing, and how do they figure it out, Laskers?
Oh, I really don't have an answer for that. I mean, they just need to figure out how to play defense. I mean, we haven't played that good a defense all year.
No,
and if you say that we have, you're a fool.
You're ignoring the opponents is what you're doing. You're just looking at total stats and ignoring the opponents, where most of those opponents scored more than their season average against us.
Yeah, and it's just not good. I mean, we have a problem on defense, and I don't know how to fix it. And I just don't know how to fix it.
I got a big question here. Is the bye week a chance where you take the play calling duty out of Patrick Queen, see if taking responsibility off him makes him better, and give that responsibility back to a Landon Roberts, who in limited snaps has looked like the best middle linebacker on the team?
That's a good question.
It's actually a good idea.
Gingy, what do you think of that? I mean, he called the plays last year, so he knows how to do it.
I think that's pretty important. I think that's something I haven't considered that to this point, right? With Landon Roberts, but I don't know what kind of right. Do the Steelers make people promises?
Yes, we know that. That's why
you think Patrick Queen is on one? You think
why
we're
Russ
talking about
is
one
the quarterback?
Of these? Well, I don't.
I mean, it's why Kenny Pickett asked out. At least for sure, it's why Kenny Pickett asked out.
I mean, I'm not disappointed with Russ being the quarterback now.
No,
I mean, I originally thought it was a bad plan.
It's why Mason Rudolph ran for the hills as soon as he could. It's why Mitch Trubisky signed here.
Yeah, we do have a problem still in the middle of that defense. I think we give up a lot of third downs. It seems.
Ooh, yeah. Mm-hmm. We give a lot of third downs. We hope for the other teams to make mistakes in the red zone. We don't really force them outside of T.J. Watt being a game wrecker. And maybe Alex Highsmith is going to have another one of those sneaky good seasons. But I knew he would against the Giants, man. He toast backup linemen because backup linemen are normally backups because they can't deal with speed. And I will say this. I don't think Highsmith is a great outside linebacker, but he is a premier speed rusher off the edge. Premier, probably top 10 in the league.
I'm not going to deny it.
That dude has that ability in that case. The running thing really bothers me. And Gingy, the second part I want to get into here, because obviously it's bye week. We're going to talk, how does this team go? Where does it go? What do we see in the future? How the hell do we get the second half offense to show up, specifically the fourth quarter offense, to show up through the whole damn game? This is the same thing we asked for the last, 3 years? Can we show up in the first half of a football game? Like, we are the only team in the NFL to not have an opening drive touchdown. Because I don't, how do you explain 3 straight seasons, and it might be more, I just know it's specifically at least the last 3 seasons, where the offense just seems to not exist till the middle of the third quarter.
You gotta massage that defense down, right? You gotta work it properly.
Coaching.
Now you gotta work it properly, and you gotta maintain the standard.
Right, but the standard's 17 points a game. Think about this. This is back-to-back weeks where if you take off the turnovers or the plays by special teams, the offense as a standalone unit isn't scoring 20 points. Gingy, to me, the offense has to be at least as a standalone unit in this NFL to work. They have to be putting up 20 points a game, especially against lesser opponents like the Jets and Giants, right?
Consistently, yeah. I still don't think our offense is top tier by any means, but the fact that the offense has improved slightly, the defensive has gone down slightly, still beating bad teams, but is not going to work in tough competitions in the AFC North, is not going to work against top tier teams in the AFC overall.
Well,
in general,
that's why
you got to play full quarters. Now, what they do have going for them, Donkey, is what you alluded to earlier: the splash. Oh yes, we got the turnover, we got the special teams, and those things I've always prescribed to the Steelers as pretty consistent necessities for them to be able to win consistent football games. It's tough to bank on that. It's like banking on the 3 in college ball. But
see, I disagree. I disagree with you there. The splash is like banking on the other team missing a breakaway dunk, right? Because banking on the 3 is, we're going to go try to score 40 points a game and pray to God you can't. To me, playing with the 3 was like pre the last 2 seasons Kansas City Chiefs, right? Where we're just going to score a bunch of points and see if you can keep up with us.
Well,
I get your premise. I view playing for the 3 a little different.
When you got all-world players like T.J. Watt out there stripping the ball and falling on his own forced fumble,
that's pretty sweet.
Shot call like that a little bit, right? But there ain't too many all-world TJs.
It took all game to watch Danny Dimes make 2 terrible mistakes. The T.J. Watt fumble was one, held that ball way too long, and that's the side he can see. You can see T.J. Watt coming at you, dum-dum. Get rid of the football. And the interception where he just airballed it to Beanie Bishop to end the game, man. Danny Dimes, he looked like the best version of Danny Dimes I've seen in 2 years for 3.5 quarters, and then he remembered who the hell he was at the end of the game, Laskers.
Yeah, I agree. And I will admit, I didn't watch all the game. I went to bed. It was getting too late for me. But he looked like vintage Danny Dimes at the end of the game.
Now, Gingy, I hear what you're saying in the early offense sets up the late offense, right? I totally hear what you're saying, and that is definitely a point that is valid going into what the Steelers have done, right? But at some point, this team has to be able, because we saw what happened when the Steelers took a lead and now that pass rush gets to take over, right? The Steelers need to find a way to get early offense because they need to let that pass rush take over. And the quicker they get going, the better it's going to be. And Gingy, this is a question I really want to raise to you is how do the Steelers get that early offense going? And more specifically, and I've said this before, always be weary of quarterbacks' first 4 to 5 games in a new system because they're going to look good because you don't have tape. Wait until you get tape on them to judge them. Do you think it is too early to judge, even if Russ has another good 1 or 2 games? Do you think it's too early to judge Russ's impact on the Steelers' offense because you don't get to see tape on him? Much like Justin Fields early looked better than Justin Fields late because teams started adjusting and making him throw the passes they saw him struggle with. Do you think teams will adjust to what they see in Russ in 4 games? And do you think Russ, being the veteran he is, will be able to overcome that? Or do you see this as a potential problem for the Steelers in those last 3-4 games of the season, teams adjusting to Russ?
Potentially a problem. I think the offense has enough players, though, to make this less than one-dimensional. You asked a whole bunch of questions in that statement. I'll tell you one answer, though, is that when we're talking about starting early, now, I don't think this is ever going to happen in a Mike Tomlin, Arthur Smith system. But what if, instead of trying to run to establish the pass, we passed to establish the run?
You do realize it's still 1992 in Pittsburgh, right?
I know I'm talking crazy here, right? But just hear me out. If we've got a cocky guy like Pickens who needs to be involved early in order to get going, right? Well, why don't on the maybe first, if not at latest the second drive, we make sure that he gets at least 2 targets his way 20 yards down the field? I think that spreads out. I watched a Jets game and a lot of the Giants game where they still play a lot of players out front. They're not really respecting the deep ball. They're letting the one-on-ones on the outside fly. Throw it if you dare. I really think we need to start taking advantage of that early and using that to allow some more open space for Najee Harris and Jalen Warren in the middle of the field.
I hear you on that, Gingy, and I want to go to Laskers on this. Laskers, what Gingy's saying is absolutely true, but I feel watching these few games, the thing is, early in the game, the teams we play are playing more cautious and playing back and not allowing those throws to happen. They're playing with safety help, and I feel like you're getting a lot more 0 looks or 1 high safety rather than 2 high safety looks late in the game because they realize if we let Najee run for 7 yards a carry, it's going to be a problem. So I really feel like Najee's been the one that's opened up these deep throws the last 2 weeks, which is why you didn't see them happen with Justin Fields, is because Najee Harris didn't establish anything. But Laskers, what's your take on that?
I actually agree with that statement, Donkey. And I think you just got to play it by ear. You cannot develop a game plan without seeing what the defense is going to do. You can see what they're going to do. Your quarterback is your quarterback. He needs to audible out if he has an option to throw the ball deep or, let's just say get 10 yards.
I actually agree with Laskers, and this is something I wanted to bring into you, Gingy. I don't know how Laskers do this. Is I was going to say, Gingy, what if the Steelers let a quarterback audible for the first time since 2018 and actually change a play at the line of scrimmage? Not call a hot read, not call a hot, or whatever the heck they want to yell, but essentially they're going hot read, right? what if the Steelers let the quarterback audible if he sees that one-on-one earlier in the game?
Is Russ the first quarterback with the potential that they had that could do that?
Dude, they didn't let Ben audible the last 2 years of Ben Roethlisberger. Let that sink in for a minute.
Ben Roethlisberger had to evolve into Ben 2.0, where he was letting the ball go and fastest he'd ever had in his career. That wasn't Ben. That was modified.
He had to evolve. I like that.
That was Ben with a bionic elbow.
I will say, yeah. I will say this: Russ still throws a pretty good deep ball, but Jesus, Gingy, those intermediate passes, those red zone passes, they leave a lot to be desired.
They ain't as good as they used to be, but I'm still stealing the Steelers score more in the last couple weeks than I have in a minute. I like this.
For sure. More. I guess you could argue Mason Rudolph kind of did this deal right. You could argue that would be your only case to have. I guess the closing thought here on where the Steelers stand as it is do you think this team needs to go make an acquisition? And if so, what position in order to make themselves true contenders? Or do you think they can be contenders as they are? We'll start with Laskers and go to Gingy.
I think we actually got to make two. I think we need another wide receiver, and I think we need another offensive lineman.
Fair. Gingy.
Wide receiver for sure. I think it would really open up that path. I think we have the two-headed monster at running back. I think we need two on the outsides as well. Or boy, what if we could just develop Pat Freiermuth into a bigger threat, right?
He can't.
I don't know, man. He was running pretty hard. I like him. I know you guys say he ain't sure-handed, and after watching...
No, never said that. I said he is the least clutch individual I've ever seen.
All right, we'll go with that. I believe you on that. And I'll tell you, it is tough to see after a career of Heath Miller, a guy more sure-handed than that. But
clutch. Heath Miller was clutch, dude. If you needed a catch in the Detroit game and you threw it to Heath, it would have been caught, right?
That's true. We do need that. You throw
a game-tying touchdown to that guy in the Detroit game, he drops it. And then he fumbles on the sideline. That dude's just not clutch.
So you're saying if Pat Freiermuth is permanently destined for mediocrity, then we at least certainly need a B or a B-plus wide receiver on the outside to complement George Pickens.
I'm saying you were skipping the fact that our best tight end is a 300-pound offensive lineman named Darnell Washington.
Oh man, he's
6'7", 300 pounds. Do you want to try to tackle that thing?
They got one boot play to him. I've seen Darnell Washington being used with the same play on switch at least 4 times a game, and it only works once, donkey. And that's because Darnell. He is the most artful dodger I've ever seen.
I think Darnell Washington, if you used him in the one tight end package, would be more effective than Pat Freiermuth, and this is the reason. Darnell Washington as the one tight end in those packages makes the running plays more believable. The Steelers' most effective plays have been off play action. I think, and it's nothing against Freiermuth, I think he's the better receiving option here, but I think Darnell Washington gives you a better chance to sell run plays than Freiermuth does in the one tight end package.
Yeah. I could see that. I don't know if Darnell could keep up with the volume and the targets.
No, dude, he's huge. He's fucking huge.
I mean, that's a lot of running for that large man.
Not saying we should do it, Gingy. I'm just saying I think it would, okay? We have 5 tight ends, though, so it's not like we can't rotate in Pruitt or Williams or Baby Hayward, too. I mean, just don't throw Baby Hayward the football, okay? I've lost faith in him, his ability to catch.
Oh no, it hasn't looked good the last few weeks with Baby Hayward on the receiving end.
No, not at all. Van Jefferson finally had a good game, so kudos to him there. I've cranked on him enough that hey, seeing a good game out of him was nice to see. So I want to get into a little fun thing. So we all did preseason predictions, right? And I think it's kind of fun. Me and Laskers thought the Steelers would be 5-3 at the bye, and Gingy thought the Steelers would be 6-2 at the bye. Very good prediction, Gingy. I got to give it to you there. Yay! So it's a little fun to look at the preseason predictions, so to say. If you're curious, Madden thought the Steelers were going to be 4-4 at the bye, so take that, Madden. But Gingy, what I thought was curious is if we took your preseason picks, though, you're the one who it doesn't look so good. The total numbers are good, but it's 4-4 in actual picks from the preseason, Gingy. So it's like you knew what the numbers were going to be, but you weren't so clairvoyant on the games. Let's just say. But I gotta give mad respect for saying 6-2 at the bye and then being 6-2 at the bye. So you get the special shout out in this pick segment because you also have the best record in the pick segment right now. Let's do a little. Let me. You guys have any closing thoughts you want to say about the Steelers going into the bye, either the way the team looks or the Giants game? Anything in particular?
I got nothing.
I love me some splash plays. That was a game full of them. They were required. It was exciting. Of course,
he loves splash plays, Gingy.
Playing right now. What I have to say, and this is about the Giants game and about overall. Last 3 weeks or so, Steelers are looking more exciting than they have probably in the last 5 years overall. And I know there may have been better teams, better schemes, better whatever. But this is exciting football. I think this is as exciting as I've seen in quite some time.
Last 5 years, I don't know if you can say that, although the real true measure will be this next stretch of games, right? But as it stands now, I'd say, because was the 11-0 team within the last 5 years? Because otherwise, this definitely is the best looking team the Steelers have had in the last 5 years, based off an 8-game stretch of any point.
Yeah.
It's close if it was the last 5 years.
I hear you, Gingy. And yeah, they're playing Gingy football. Don't do anything and pray for splash. And it's working damn good right now. You can't complain. You got to enjoy it. Laskers, anything from you?
No, I got nothing.
Then let's do a little wrap up of the AFC North here. The AFC sucks. So we're going to start at the bottom. Can Jameis Winston make this Browns team a playoff team? Because let's not act like the AFC has a bunch of world beaters right now. The Browns get on a roll, they could potentially be in the conversation. Do either of you think Jameis Winston, and if you watched it, I mean, yeah, he threw some balls that should have been turnovers. He threw what should have been an interception to end the game. But he's a guy willing to take chances that if you watched any of the other games, Deshaun Watson either couldn't make the throws or wouldn't make the throws, whichever way you want to say. Do either of you think the Browns have a legitimate chance to make a run with Jameis Winston as their quarterback?
I think they have a chance. If Jameis Winston is the only quarterback, and that's assuming he doesn't get hurt because he is a quarterback prone to getting a little bit hurt. I think they have a chance.
The New Orleans job. Gingy?
I mean, what have I been saying? Until proven otherwise, they're PNG. They're persona non grata. They don't even show up on my world. What's the Browns?
2-6. Same as the Jets were going into this week. It's pretty much the same as every team outside of Indianapolis that's at the 8 or 9 seed in the AFC right now.
Come on, I'm worried about the Ravens, man. I don't got time for no 2-6 Browns and Jameis Winston talk. Come on, we gotta get ready for Lamar Jackson. We gotta get ready to run the North.
They just beat the Ravens, to be fair. So it's a team you have to talk about because we do have to play them twice in the remaining part of the schedule. Let's move on to Cincinnati then. Their offense is either 30 points or 13 points, and their defense is 30 points a game given up. Do the Bengals have a route to save this season, or are they doomed to end up in last place in the AFC North, Laskers?
I think they have a route. I mean, as much as we all hate the Ravens, they still have a chance to win the division.
Bengals. We're on the Bengals.
Sorry. The Bongals.
Joey Burr.
I just don't know.
That offense has a lot of weapons, but that offensive line sucks.
And T. Higgins is hurt. So I just don't see it. I just don't see it.
Gingy, what are your thoughts on the Bengals here, sitting at the midpoint of the season, essentially?
Bengals are sneaky. They're sneaky, deceptive for slow starts and getting hot in November and December. I don't know. I'm not going to rule them out. I'm not going to be as nonchalant about them per se as I am about the Cleveland Browns. But, you know, besides precedent, if you're looking at it from a year-to-year thing, right, they've given me nothing to see that they're going to do that this year. But Bengals are sneaky. We'll come back to that's where I begin and that's where I end. Sneaky Bengals.
Let's go to the Ravens. For some reason, Derrick Henry averages like 10 yards a carry, but they only give him the ball 11 times. It's like the Ravens want to be a passing team, but either Lamar Jackson misses the passes in their losses or the wide receivers don't catch it. They just add Deontay Johnson to add another, as Gingy would like to say, another receiver that's earned the title of unforced error king, okay? Another receiver that just makes mental mistakes. Do the Ravens start focusing more on a running game? Does this defense that has really let them down and been un-Baltimore-like, they have been really bad on defense, still have a decent pass rush with guys like Odafe Oweh and players like that doing good things, but their secondary's been really bad. Marlon Humphrey's been beat up as their number one corner. Hamilton's having a little bit of an off year. Do the Ravens really get this thing rolling and turning? Because we've seen they have a potential to be the best offense in football. They have a potential to have a decent defense based off past showings or a couple showings this year where they had great games. Are the Ravens a team that's going to get it together, Gingy? Or are the Ravens a team that's just going to be doomed to mental lapses that cost them potentially a division? Probably not a playoff spot because the AFC's been really weak this year, but cost them a division and cost them a chance at a championship run. Is the mental errors going to keep them out, or does this team put it all together and become the juggernaut they seem to be on paper?
I mean, I don't know how to answer that yet. I think that they're going to put it together. I think they're going to be there at the end of the season, right? Do I think it's going to come without more gaffes and follies from one Ravens unit? I don't think so. I don't think AFC North just ain't pretty. It ain't pretty, but it is effective.
Justin Tucker has been like the least accurate kicker from over 50 yards the last 2 years. It seems like he doesn't have the leg to do it anymore. Kind of a weird thing to say.
That, getting up there, but he
is pretty old. That's fair.
That's a guy that's done some real damage to the Steelers throughout his career, so.
Laskers, your thoughts on the Ravens here at the midway point?
I think the Ravens are going to figure out how to get a decent season. I just don't think they're going to figure out how to get in the playoffs. I mean, they're a good team. They're a good team.
Do you think they're going to miss the playoffs?
I think they're going to miss the playoffs.
That's a hot take.
Just based off the way the AFC is why that's a hard one for me, Laskers. Right now, the Colts are the 7 seed at 4-4.
I understand that. I think they're gonna
fall off. Gonna see Lamar Jackson maybe.
I'm not convinced that Lamar is gonna have a good year. I really do think that they might figure out how to lose this one.
That's a bold take there. We'll go to Laskers on the last spot here. Obviously, we're going to end with the Steelers before we get to the AFC North picks. The Steelers, midway point essentially, at the bye week. Do they continue strong and win this division, Laskers?
I think they're going to win the division.
Gingy.
You know it. It's coming right down to it. I think it's going to be a matter of whether or not how we fare against the Ravens, whether or not we split there. I think it's going to be coming right down to the wire.
I personally think the Steelers get the 6th seed we'll call it the 5 seed. Get the 5 seed in the AFC. And oddly, it's going to be because we have the goddamn tiebreaker with the Broncos.
Dang, so like the first wild card.
Yep, top wild card. Because I think 10 wins get you the top wild card, and I think the 7 seed comes in with 9. And I think I hate to say this, but I think it's purely because of their schedule. I think the Broncos win 10 games this year.
Wow. They do have a heck of a defense.
They also have an easy schedule.
That helps.
Certainly does. All right, Gingy, me and you are going to pick before Laskers this week in the picks. So let's go ahead. Let's get into where we stand record-wise. Gingy is up to, I wrote it down somewhere, and now I can't find it. That is perfect job by me here, killing it. Gingy's up to 21-8. That's 6-2 in Steelers games. Laskers is 10-19. That's 2-6 in Steelers games. And Donkey's 18-11, 5-3 in Steelers games. Hey, that's exactly what I expected the Steelers record to be at the bye. So it's what my record is. Close enough. All right, let's get into these picks. I believe the first, everyone else in the AFC North is playing, if anyone's curious. The first game is we had the Vegas Raiders going to the Bengals, Gingy.
Give me the Bengals.
I, too, like Cincinnati. Laskers.
Give me the Ravens on. Wait, what were we talking about?
Raiders and Bengals.
Las Vegas Raiders.
Shit, yeah, actually,
win, baby,
you
win.
Screwed me on that one. Give me the Bengals.
Oh, I lied.
One with you.
The current 7 seed in the AFC has a winning record. I forgot the Chargers had a bye week, so they're technically 4-3. We have the Chargers playing the Browns. Can the Browns keep the momentum going? Can the Chargers keep the momentum going? Gingy, I personally like Cleveland in this one just because it's at Cleveland, and the Chargers tend to not do good on the East Coast time zone. What's your take?
Give me a Harbaugh team off the bye. Chargers.
Nice. Laskers.
Shit, you picked opposite, so
we did.
Give me the Harbaugh team.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Harbaugh team off the bye is tough, man. They're gonna be ready. We'll see, though. You're right about hot in Cleveland. Riding that Jameis Winston high. We'll see.
Excuse me.
Jameis Winston, if you all didn't know, kind of broke the third wall that you're not allowed to talk about, talking about how the Browns were going to start their run this week, and they did on a really weird game. So, yeah, I gotta go with the conspiracies, right? We have one more. We got maybe the surprise of the AFC, although we talked, at least when we talked this offseason, I told you this was a team I liked getting better throughout the year because I thought Bo Nix and Sean Payton would work well. That's the Broncos being 5-3, going to the Ravens at 5-3. So we got the Broncos coming into Baltimore. Who'd you like, Gingy?
What? Got to who?
The Broncos coming into Baltimore.
Raiders.
Okay.
Ravens. I accidentally said Raiders. Trying to say Ravens, and my tongue decided to be.
Yeah, give me the Ravens on a bounce back week.
I too like the Ravens. Laskers. Who you like in this one?
Sorry, I didn't mute myself for how much I'm coughing. Give me the Broncos on this one.
Okay.
Lasker's trying his best to make the comeback to speak here. Oops, that's not the way I meant to write that. All right, well, I don't have any other fun NFL stories, any NFL stories that compel you guys to talk about here and now.
Deontay Johnson to the Ravens.
Yeah. I don't know who snaps he takes away.
Good for them.
Okay. Hey, that's all we got to say. That's it. That's fine. Actually, that is a very fitting acknowledgement of that transaction.
I think he upgrades that receiving core, but like I told you in the text, the more the Ravens want to throw the ball, the better for everybody else, because where that team is dangerous is running the football and making you commit to the run. And I'm sorry, but
don't let fucking don't let them run the ball. That's a bad plan.
I mean, I guess he could be number 2 to Zay Flowers over guys like Rashad Bateman and that. But honestly, the guys that should be getting the football are Andrews, Lively, and Flowers. I mean, outside of those three, okay, well, maybe it turns out really well for them, and Deontay goes on a tear, being in the AFC North again. Who knows? But you're right, Gingy. That's kind of a fun story to see. The story I wanted to get you guys here. Who the heck? Well, I can't think of his name. Richardson, right? The quarterback for the Colts, taking himself out of the game because he's exhausted. Are you freaking kidding me, dude?
No, I can't. He got what he needed.
Flacco, bump. Flacco.
He got benched, and he's benched over the whole thing too. That's your franchise guy. It's a learning lesson for him about the type of look that it is, for a city's. Basically, whether the quarterback likes it or not, they're the center of the show. They touch the ball every play. Everybody's going to be generalizing all of the team's work ethic, everything else off that one guy, and he made a mistake. It was a bad look. I've never seen that really happen in my life. A healthy check on a 3rd and goal from a starting quarterback, a franchise quarterback, allegedly. Can't happen.
I got a question too, because I'm sure you've seen more Colts games than I have. I've only seen 3 of them this year, or parts of 3 of them. Gingy, is there a worse thrower of the football in NFL history than Richardson? Like, I've never seen a dude complete 30% of his passes 3 straight games. Like, this dude might be the least accurate quarterback I've ever seen.
Yeah, that's
the number 1.
As anything, dude, I don't think I've seen a quarterback complete as few passes over a 3-game stretch as this dude.
Yeah, ever. That's setting records in a bad way.
And when you watch the games, they're terrible throws. Like, if it wasn't for the fact that Michael Pittman and Josh Downs can make some amazing catches, who knows what his completion percentage would be? Because, that dude can run. That dude can't throw a football. My goodness gracious. He needs to figure something out, Gingy. And I don't think quitting on the team was the proper way to do it.
Right, the answer.
Well, who knows? Laskers, any stories that have caught your eyes?
No, nothing I can think of.
All right. I guess that means we'll go to shout-outs. We'll go ahead and let Laskers start with shout-outs.
My shout-out's going to be to Bob Costas, retiring after 44 years as the MLB play-by-play announcer. Hey, congrats on that career.
Laskers has an obsession with baseball shout-outs. Gingy, your shout-out.
There's fucking nothing else to shout out.
Of course, me, Gingy, always looking to shout out a splash play. My boy Calvin Austin, the 3rd coming in.
2 of them.
With a big TD reception, big punt return. Splash, splash. That right there is your difference in the game. Shout out Calvin Austin.
My shout-out is going to be a 2-parter. 1, I get to say Beanie Bishop this week since Gingy took him last week. And number 2 is, dude, I've hated on Danny Smith so freaking long. I have to say the Steelers special teams have been the unit that made them 6-2 this year rather than 4-4. So I had to give a shout-out to Danny Smith, man. Bubble gum can be chewed on the sideline. Everybody hide your Hubba Bubba because that dude's coming for it. And this year, he's coming for your points as well. And I love to see that stuff, man. That's it's almost worth 7 years of bashing my head off a wall, dude. Almost. Okay, it's that time. It's bye week. We're getting psyched for absolutely nothing. We'll get psyched next week. But I gotta let you know I'm the Viking Donkey. That's Viking_Donkey at Twitch or Twitter. Your daily dose of Donkey with Ginger is the fun YouTube channel where you get all of this awesome content. You also get to hear Bugaboo breaking down plays like no one can, breaking down the splash for you, Gingy, and saying hurricane in football because it's his favorite thing to talk about, apparently. Laskers, let him know who you be.
I'm the Laskers everywhere. And if you can't find me, I'm sorry, but good luck to you, Gingy.
Mutant Gingy in the house. We hanging out. We talking ball. We looking down on everybody from the top. Steelers at the top of the North at the bye. Folks, save up. Rest up. It's going to be a crazy second half of the season. Wave them if you got them. Here we go, Steelers.